Tonight, we'll tell you about an Oswego County woman running for a county legislature seat under the pizza party.
Also, the FDA advisors are recommending emergency authorization for the Moderna booster shot.
And how Syracuse's hospital wait time is affecting Oswego County's ambulance company.
WTOP 10 Nightly News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News. I'm Scott Brubaker.
And I'm Hannah Limbo.
Extremely long wait times in Syracuse's hospitals are affecting the Fulton-based Mentor Ambulance Company. Mentor Ambulance CEO Zachary Mentor says the wait times in Syracuse are affecting all ambulance services across the central New York region.
Mentor explains that Fulton ambulances are responding to other territories because they do not have people available. Now, others must respond to Oswego's territory, which is causing a chain reaction. Wait times for hospitals in the Syracuse area span from 2 hours to 4 hours on Wednesday. This resulted in ambulances not being able to reach emergencies in a timely manner. Mentor says that this problem may not be fixed anytime soon.
A key Food and Drug Administration committee voted unanimously today to recommend a booster shot of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. Much like the Pfizer COVID-19 booster shot, the Moderna booster is recommended for people over 65, along with high-risk individuals at least 6 months after their second dose. We talked to some SUNY Oswego students to get their opinion on getting the booster shot.
So if I'm able to get the booster for the Pfizer shot, I would absolutely love to. I've honestly been wanting to as soon as they started talking about it. So the minute that I am able to go get that done, I am rolling up my sleeves and sitting there eagerly.
So I'm actually immune compromised, so I was looking into getting the third shot. Honestly, I feel like it's just a little soon for me, just getting 2 shots already and then possibly getting the flu shot right now. And then on top of that, possibly getting the booster shot. It just seems like a lot. So I'm going to wait a little bit, but I do think I will get it in the future.
Last month, the FDA approved a booster shot for the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. They have yet to make a decision on a booster for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
For those showing signs of COVID, a new testing site will open in Syracuse starting tomorrow. As cases in Onondaga County continue to climb, County Executive Ryan McMahon says that the new clinic will help find signs early. The clinic will be running weekdays from 9 a.m. to noon, located at 800 West Genesee Street. To register, go to the Onondaga County Health Department's website.
The Rye Day Melee trial came to a close today as the admitted killer, DeVar Williams, accepted his plea. Williams' lawyer argued that he fired an illegal gun in June 2020 after being shot at first. The fatal bullet from Williams' gun killed 17-year-old Charle Osario. Williams will not be going to prison for murder charges, but has instead pleaded guilty to reckless manslaughter and illegal weapons possession. He will spend between 17 and 21 years in prison.
Governor Kathy Hochul says that New York will appeal a judge's ruling that grants preliminary injunction to healthcare workers who claim religious exemption to the ongoing vaccine mandate put in place. The governor says she stands by the vaccine and wants to ensure that those in need can feel safe while getting necessary help. Hochul also says that she hasn't ruled out a vaccine mandate for school children, but will continue monitoring vaccination data before making any solid decisions.
And as Hochul runs for governor in 2022, there is a candidate running for Oswego County Legislature that is catching people's eyes. After losing the Republican Party nomination, Amanda Margot is running under her own independent party, the Pizza Party. Margot lives in Mexico, New York, the location of one of her pizzerias. Other candidates on the ballot include Courtney Yallman for the Democratic and Common Ground parties, and Frank Bombardo for the Republican and Conservative parties.
In honor of Sophomore Service Day, Rice Creek Field Station will be supporting the Canal Forest Restoration Project by offering free trees to be replanted. This is an effort to restore the native tree species to New York State's canal regions. Rice Creek Field Station is currently seeking volunteers to help out on October 15th. Matthew Rivenberg joins us in the studio now. Matthew, why don't you tell us more about what else students on campus are doing to combat climate change?
Good evening, Scott and Hannah. The climate change protest was a movement on campus. I interviewed Valerie Goetz and Julie Brothy, and they told me their goal is to make a positive change here on campus. The climate change protest contributed to the global climate strike. Go Green co-organizer Valerie Goetz shared what the movement is all about.
Where young people are calling on their leaders to really make real substantial change in the fight against climate change.
Julie Brothy from Go Green has goals she wants to see happen on campus.
We want to see refillable water bottle stations in each of the dorms. We understand that that's something that takes time to do and money, of course. So something like that, we want to see one water bottle station in a dorm per year.
Go Green co-organizer Julie Brothy calls SUNY Oswego students to action.
And we really would like for our students to raise their voices with us, and that there is power in numbers. So the more of us that do it, the more change we will see.
The Go Green Club holds weekly programs every Thursday at 7 p.m. in Murano Campus Center, room 242. For more information on any of the activities going on, you can email them at gogreenclub.oswego.edu, and as well as follow them on Instagram at gogreen.oswego. Scott and Hannah, back to you.
Coming up later tonight, why Alex Murdaugh is tied up in another scandal.
And how Mexico City is responding to protests of a Christopher Columbus statue.
And speaking of climate change, let's throw it over to weather. Brittany, what's the weather going to look like?
Thank you, Scott. So today we saw above average temperatures of a high of 65 degrees here in Oswego, which is very uncommon for this time of year. But we're going to see nowhere near close to the record temperature of 86 degrees. And moving along to the current temperatures, across the board in New York State, we saw highs across the mid to upper 60s. And that is going to be the trend as we move into tonight with having a low of 60 degrees. I will have more in my full forecast coming up about what we're going to be seeing for this weekend after the break.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
my break. I'm your Storm Team 10 meteorologist, Brittany Sparcino. Today we saw beautiful conditions and the warm weather, and that is going to last as we move into this weekend. But moving along to the weekend, we're going to be seeing the rain moving for the weekend, and the rain is going to continue into next week. But by Sunday, we're going to be seeing those seasonal-like temperatures, which I know I am very excited for as I love fall. On this date today, we did see Columbia County. They had severe storms that went through their area and had $1 million in damage. And speaking of severe weather, starting Friday night, we are under a hazardous outlook, which we are going to be expecting those high winds and torrential downpours for this weekend. And looking at temperatures across New York State, we are in the mid to upper 60s, and that is the trend as we're going to be moving into this weekend. But as we look down in Long Island, they saw highs in the upper 70s. And looking at tonight's forecast, it is going to be staying warm as we're going to be seeing a low at 60 degrees, and it's going to be mostly cloudy. And as we move into tomorrow, that rain is going to be in our area and is going to be staying here a while. So around noon, we are going to be seeing the rain. So if you do have plans, I do suggest bringing in a rain jacket and an umbrella so you are protected from the rain. And to look at the next 7 days, it is going to be very warm tomorrow as we're going to be seeing a high of 74 degrees. And that's going to be the same as we move into Saturday, but as the cold front pushes through, the temperatures are going to be cooling down, but we are going to be seeing that torrential downpour. But as we move into early next week, the sun does continue, and so does the warmer temperatures. Coming up after the break, more news and sports. You're watching WTOP 10 Nightly News.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfies. Nailed it. We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
Welcome back to WTOP 10 Nightly News.
Horseshoe Lake levels hit record low in Chico due to California's ongoing drought. Ryan Matthews shows us how dire the situation has become for Californians at this time.
I'm still kind of digesting it. I haven't been here in a few months, and I thought it was low when I was here the last time.
Marika McSpadden has lived in Chico her whole life, spending summers by Horseshoe Lake in Upper Bidwell Park, and eventually bringing kids of her own to feed the ducks. It was a simple joy when the lake looked like this in 2015. But it's not the same today. Frequent hikers tell me the lowest they've ever seen this lake at is up to that grass behind me here, but that record has now been beat. You take a look at the scene today, it's several feet lower than what its max capacity is as California's drought continues to get worse.
You used to be able to climb up Monkey Face and sit on the rocks and look at the water and have a view, and now there's just hardly even a puddle.
Beyond sentimental connections, it's home to Chico's annual Hooked on Fishing, Not on Drugs event. Years past have seen 10,000 pounds of live catfish occupying the lake. but not in these conditions. And if the water stays this low, they could be forced to find a new venue.
You think of the drought, you look at this, and it's just mind-blowing.
It comes as California faces one of its worst droughts yet. And if the county doesn't see significant precipitation in the coming year, it could mean this view becomes permanent.
This is a fishbowl in comparison to what it used to be. Like, it used to be something big and awesome and amazing, and I'm hoping someday it'll be back up there.
In Chico, Ryan Matthey, the North States News.
Chico City Park Division says that they do not measure lake levels, so it is difficult to determine precisely how much water was lost. But it is necessary for lake levels to rise again before the change is permanent.
A once prominent South Carolina attorney, Alex Murdaugh, is arrested in Orlando, Florida, in yet another scandal. Murdaugh is in suspicion of misappropriating settlement funds connected to the death of his family's longtime housekeeper in 2018. He has been arrested upon his release from a drug rehabilitation center. Murdaugh is already on bond for an insurance fraud scam with a former client in which he survived a gunshot to the head, and another investigation relating to the death of Murdaugh's wife and sons are also underway.
New data from the CDC shows a record number of people died reported from drug overdoses in a 12-month period during the pandemic. One health expert calling it a collision of health crisis. Mandy Gather has a look at the new numbers.
During the pandemic, a new record high. More than 96,000 drug overdose deaths reported from March 2020 to March 2021, according to new numbers from the CDC.
Each person who has lost their life during this time period leaves behind a family and a community who misses them.
It's an increase of nearly 30% in these deaths from the year before. Vermont had the largest increase in overdose deaths of any state. Reported overdose deaths there rose more than 85% in that time period.
These tragic statistics really speak to the despair that many Americans are experiencing throughout the COVID-19 pandemic.
The CDC says opioids accounted for the highest number of overdose deaths, followed by synthetic opioids, excluding methadone. Dr. Trent Hall's research on the overdose crisis in Ohio was published in JAMA Network Open last year. The addiction medicine specialist at Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center says the increase in the synthetic opioid fentanyl is highly concerning.
Fentanyl is coming to contaminate local drug supplies in new areas, and that's pretty scary.
But Hall says there is hope. Treatment helps, and so can being prepared.
Carry a naloxone rescue kit, as you can see here. This is something that we can all carry around, and in the event that we encounter someone who's experiencing overdose, you can save a life.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Other states such as South Dakota, New Jersey, and New Hampshire saw a decline in the overdose deaths over the past year, with South Dakota being the biggest decline in any state by more than 16%.
People are turning to ivermectin as a drug treatment against COVID-19, which is not approved or authorized by the FDA. Multiple reports of patients have required medical attention, including hospitalization, after self-medicating with ivermectin, a drug intended for livestock. Ivermectin is approved in the U.S. for some parasitic worms, head lice, and skin conditions like rosacea. There is no available data that shows ivermectin is effective against COVID-19 clinical trials. Assessing the effectiveness of ivermectin on COVID-19 are ongoing.
Protests to remove a judge in Beirut, Lebanon have turned violent. This 1 year after the massive blast in the city's port. The deadly shooting left 6 dead and dozens wounded after the militant group Hezbollah and their allies aligned to remove Bitbar. The judge leading the investigation on Beirut blast. Protesters said they came under fire from snipers deployed on the rooftops near the Justice Palace. The Hezbollah allied minister said, and the other cabinet members would stage a walkout if the Bitar is not removed.
A fire tears through a 13-story residential building, killing at least 46 people and leaves at least 41 injured. Rescue operations are currently underway with more than 377 rescue workers deployed to the scene. 62 people between the ages of 8 and 83 have been rescued by midday. More victims may also be trapped between the 7th and 11th floors. Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen expresses her deepest condolences to the victims. Mexico City is replacing a statue of Christopher Columbus with a sculpture of an indigenous woman. The statue was unearthed in the Huasteca region in January, but no one has been able to identify who the statue is supposed to depict. The Columbus statue was removed last year for restoration after protesters frequently targeted the statue with graffiti. This all to protest the brutal treatment of indigenous peoples. The head of the institute, Diego Prieto Hernandez, says this was not based on any ideological judgment but to prevent threats and protests.
Day of the Dead is one of Mexico's most rooted traditions that is also becoming a phenomenon in the United States. Camila Bernal explains why many are hoping to continue the tradition honoring the dead.
It's a well-known celebration of life and death. But in 1979, before the festivals and parades became popular in the U.S., Ofelia Esparza began building these altars and offerings at Self-Help Graphics and Art in East Los Angeles. The offerings display photos of those who have departed, adorned with marigold flowers and their favorite foods. The belief is that the departed souls return and reunite with the living.
It's a day of remembrance and reverence, honoring our loved ones and our ancestors.
I remember my grandmother.
For set designer Ricardo Soltero, displaying his colorful art at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery for the Day of the Dead has a special meaning.
I'm very proud that our tradition trespassed to other countries, not only to the United States, and people everywhere in the world is celebrating now the way we do in Mexico.
Back at Self-Help Graphics and Art, the community coming together to prepare for the November 1st and 2nd celebration. They have now been doing it for 48 years.
We're really now, I think, in a position to still be that cultural anchor and to keep the tradition connected to the spirituality element.
The holiday even making it to the big screen with the film Coco. Esparza and her daughter Rosanna served as consultants for the animated film. In it, a profound message passed on by Esparza's mother.
She had told me many, many, many years ago is that we all suffer 3 deaths, and that the first death is the day that we give our last breath, the day that we die. And our second death is the day we're buried, never to be seen on the face of the earth again. And then we have the third death, but the most dreaded death of all is to be forgotten.
In Los Angeles, I'm Camila Bernal.
The Day of the Dead occurs November 1st and 2nd after the day of Halloween.
And coming up in sports, Patrick Machado.
Patrick, can you give us a quick preview?
Thanks, guys. Coming up in sports, fallout in the Bronx, big news from Oswego Athletics, and the weekend ahead. All this and more after the break. Stay tuned. This is WTOP 10 Nightly News.
You quit smoking and thought, that's that. But here's the thing about lung cancer. By the time you see the symptoms, it could be too late. But now, there's a new scan that can detect lung cancer early, when it's more curable. If you smoked, get scanned. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News.
total, Baldwin faces 32 charges.
Saturday, I went to Woodchuck Saloon.
Too much temperature change.
1310 meteorologist.
2 as well. Visions from Tanner Smith.
Go to 2 and 1.
2 and 6 and 10 on the year.
One in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. That means it could be you. Your barber. Your barber's barber.
Nice work. Thanks.
With early diagnosis, pre-diabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Welcome back to WTOP 10 Nightly News. Patrick Machado here with your sports update. SUNY Oswego's athletics department have announced that 7 alumni will make up the Lakers Hall of Fame class of 21. Among the inductees, men's hockey players Bob Hagan and Brennan Edward Brian McLaughlin, wrestlers David Locascio and Thomas Fitch, Richard Kohler posthumously for basketball, and a pair of 4-time All-SUNYAC honorees in lacrosse and soccer respectively, Catherine Rozak and Maureen Kasparik. The Hall of Fame ceremony will take place at the Sheldon Ballroom on Saturday, November 13th. After a disappointing 2021, the Yankees have decided it's strike 3 for hitting coaches Marcus Thames and PJ Pilateri. The Bronx Bombers have had a faulty fuse this year, finishing 19th in runs scored, the 6th worst in strikeouts. Also being shown the door is third base coach Phil Nevin, paying for his decision to wave home Aaron Judge for an easy out last week in the AL wildcard. According to ESPN, manager Aaron Boone enjoys the confidence of ownership. It's the best feeling in sports. One of these teams will get their 110th win of the season. The other season will end. The San Francisco Giants are at home taking on the defending World Series champion Dodgers for a chance to play in the NLCS. Right now we're in the second inning after the Giants survived the Dodgers' flurry with a runner in scoring position. Oswego is gearing up for another exciting weekend of sports on campus. Volleyball will play Oneonta tomorrow at 6 and New Paltz Saturday at 1 across from Laker Hall at the Turf. The men's soccer team will face on SUNY Cortland before evening falls and Hockey Night in Oswego returns to WTOP. Oswego takes on the Utica Pioneers. Live coverage begins at 6:30 with Mike Gross and the boys before Ben Kinney and Thomas Turgeon have the call from Puck Drop at 7 p.m. Now from our ice to the professional ice. Now we move to the Capitals versus the Rangers last night. TJ Oshie with the shot and he gets the first goal. 1-0 Washington. Now in the second, on a new network, the Great One is here, and when the Great One is talking, you better score. Justin Schultz makes it 2-0. Still in the second period, 30 seconds later, here's Hendrik Lapierre, who scores to make it a 3-goal game, and it's his first National Hockey League goal. And now, power play later in the third, Alex Ovechkin, career goal 731 to tie the 5th all-time in scoring before Chris Kreider will get one back for the Rangers to break the shutout, but it will be the Great 8 that gets the last laugh as he now moves in sole possession of 5th in all-time goals, taking it from Marcel Dion last night. The final 5-1 Washington.
That's our report for tonight. Thanks for tuning in to WTOP.
And thank you for watching. Have a great night, everyone.
Good job. Oh, that was a head.
1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother, you, your football buddy, your football buddy, you, your plumber,
Breathe right into your foot.
your plumber's mistake.